Welcome to Haunted Talks, the official podcast of The Haunted Walk, offering thematic walking tours in Kingston, Ottawa, and Toronto, Ontario. My name is Jim Dean. I am the creative director of the company, and I really appreciate you joining us for today's show. We hope you had a very happy holiday season with friends and family, and that your new year is off to a great start. The new year causes us to simultaneously look back and assess the year that was, but also try to look forward and try to imagine what is going to happen in the year to come. We decided to try to make it into a little bit of a contest, and you may have seen this video online if you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Can you predict the future? Then you already know we're going to give you a chance to claim bragging rights and some sweet prizes in our Behold the Future contest. Do you have a hunch about something that's going to happen in 2018 in the world of sport, politics, entertainment, science, technology, or really any subject? Leave your best prediction in the comments below and you'll be entered for a chance to win. The more detailed, the better. In the next episode of our Haunted Talks podcast, coming out January 26th, we'll reveal some of your most inspired predictions. Cut to January 2019, a year later, and we'll look back and award prizes for the best, the worst, and of course some of our favorite predictions. So rev up your DeLorean, step into your TARDIS, and gaze into your crystal ball. And behold the future! In addition to asking for individual predictions about 2018, we also posted several questions to test the prophetic power of our community. A little later in the show, I'll be joined by Haunted Walk founder and CEO Glen Shackleton, and we'll share and discuss some of the most interesting predictions. Before we get to that, I did want to let you know that we are now hiring in Kingston, Ottawa, and Toronto. Now, our hiring process is a little bit different than most. We don't ask for resumes or cover letters. There is a simple application form that will take you a minute or two to fill out at hauntedwalk.com/jobs. And that's pretty much it. We'll get in touch and let you know when we have some upcoming times to hang out with us, play some games, and perform one of our stories, which we will give you in advance so you will have time to practice. So if you or someone you know is very passionate, a great storyteller, loves history or drama, if you fit any of those descriptions, or if anyone you know does, we would love to get an application in from you. And the application form and the job info can be found at hauntedwalk.com/jobs. And really, there are fewer jobs that is fun as spending your evenings telling spooky ghost stories to people. So hauntedwalk.com/jobs. We do have an important date coming up on the Haunted Walk calendar. February 11th marks the anniversary of Patrick Whelan's assassination at the Ottawa jail. And every year we do a little something special, put a little different twist on the tours there that night. So be sure to keep an eye on our website, hauntedwalk.com, for the latest info about Whelan's night. From personal experience, I can tell you it is a very kind of electric and spooky night to be in the jail. So keep an eye out for that on hauntedwalk.com. As always, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, all at Haunted Walk. Predictions meet at a strange intersection between intuition and critical thought. We make and rely upon predictions every day. We predict the best route to take to get home as quickly as possible after a long day of work. We predict if we can make it to the bus stop in time to catch the bus, or if we have time to safely stop when the light turns yellow. We predict where would be a good place to live, where to invest our money or time. We are in some ways subconscious prediction machines. Other times, our reliance upon predictions is much more obvious. Stock market speculators and professional gamblers attempt to make a living by predicting the future. However, the most interesting predictions are those that seem very unlikely to happen, which ironically is a wrong prediction about a right prediction. Nevertheless, these spectacular I told you so moments can be quite eerie, as if an individual was granted special insight into the future, whether it be from psychic, supernatural, divine, or evidence-based insight. One of the most famous premonitions about the future has to do with President Abraham Lincoln, which we covered in Episode 8, Ghosts of Lincoln, with historian and tour guide Adam Selzer. The story goes that just a few days before his assassination, on April 14, 1865, Lincoln shared a recent dream with a small group that included his wife, Mary Todd, and his lawyer/bodyguard. In the dream, he walked into the East Room of the White House to find a covered corpse guarded by soldiers and surrounded by a crowd of mourners. When Lincoln asked one of the soldiers who had died, the soldier replied, "The president. He was killed by an assassin." Quite eerie, Lincoln had this dream just days before his death. But the bodyguard also reports that Lincoln told him it was not his body as the fallen body of the president. But still, a very weird coincidence. More recently, on February 11th, 2013, a woman tweeted that her boyfriend told her about a dream he had the night before, where Pope Benedict resigned, something a pope had not done for 600 years, and a man named Francesco replaced him. 16 days later, Pope Benedict shockingly announced his retirement, and we all know what happened next. The Italian translation of her tweet containing this information reads, "My boyfriend woke up last night at 4 a.m. saying he had dreamed of a new pope called Francis I and that today Benedict will resign." One of the most accurate predictions I have heard came from movie critic Roger Ebert in 1987 from an interview he did with Omni magazine. And in it, he said, "We will have high-definition widescreen television sets and push-button dialing systems to order movies you want at the time you want it." That was in 1987. Today, hundreds of millions of users stream content providers such as Netflix, iTunes, and Hulu directly into their homes. The Simpsons, which is the longest-running scripted television show, have recently joked their way into a series of impressively correct predictions about the future. The Simpsons writers predicted Donald Trump would become president back in 2000. The episode, Bart to the Future, envisions the future Lisa and Bart Simpson. Lisa, who bears an uncanny resemblance to Hillary Clinton, has become the first female president of the United States. "As you know," she says, "we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump." Her advisors go on to tell her that the preceding president has bankrupted the country. Also, during the episode When You Wish Upon a Star, shown in November 1998, a sign outside a building is shown that reads 20th Century Fox, and then underneath it in small letters, a division of Walt Disney Company. The Simpsons have had a long history of making fun of their own network, Fox, but also Walt Disney has been one of their frequent targets. But just recently, within the past 3 months or so, it was revealed that Disney paid $52 billion to buy most of 20th Century Fox's assets, including X-Men and the Home Alone series. Sir Robert Boyle was a scientific trailblazer and one of the original founders of the Learned Royal Society in 1660. Only recently has society released his amazingly accurate wish list of scientific accomplishments for humanity. The list of 24 aspirations would have been widely discussed with his scientific contemporaries, but would doubtlessly have seemed outlandish dreams to the 17th century man on the street. I'll read a few of the ones he really hit, the first being the prolongation of life. The average lifespan was around 40 years. The recovery of youth, or at least some of the marks of it as new teeth, new hair, or colored as in youth. Well, with our cosmetic surgery, Botox, hair dye, transplants, I think that would be correct as well. The art of flying. Airplanes currently do exist. He also wrote, the art of continuing long underwater and exercising functions freely there. Well, I would say scuba diving or even submarines would probably fit that bill. The acceleration of the production of things out of seed. When we think about our industrial farming techniques, genetically modified food, I would say that was correct as well. The making of armor light and extremely hard. We might think of Kevlar body armor. He also wished for the practical and certain way of finding longitudes, which the GPS, even in our phones, would probably qualify for. He also wished for perpetual light, and I think we would say electric light would fit that bill. In the predictions game, and in particularly with regards to predictions that are more outlandish or extreme or out there, I think it would be safe to say more of those predictions are proven not to be true than these examples where they seem to have been proven right. And whether it is a result of intuition, psychic abilities, or just a good old-fashioned hunch, when these guesses are correct, they are extremely interesting. I wonder how our audience will do. All right, we'd like to welcome a special guest to the show now. You've heard his voice before on the podcast. Glen Shackleton, CEO and founder of The Haunted Walk, is here with us in studio now. Glen, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Your New Year's off to a good start?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Sick over Christmas, like probably just about 80% of our listeners, but much better now.
Excellent. Well, we have a bunch of predictions to go through. We have both personalized predictions from our followers on Facebook and Instagram, and then we have our community challenge questions that we've laid out to see if our audience has psychic or some type of premonition ability. So I thought perhaps we'd start with some of the individual predictions, mix in the community ones as we go. Mm-hmm. So the first prediction comes from Trevor Veal on Facebook, who predicted that marijuana legalization will not go as planned, will not pass. And at the same time, and more tragically maybe even, beer prices will go up again this year. So very tough prediction for kind of the marketplace there. What do you think? Marijuana legalization going to go through and beer prices going to go up again?
Well, that's a tough one. I think it might be useful for us to try to make this into our own little game and see which one of Jim and I is the best Nostradamus to see who can
all right.
Who can come up with the best predictions. So I'm going to say that we should maybe rank the likelihood of these things happening.
Okay.
On a score of 1 to 10.
I'm going to conveniently grab a pencil. As we,
you can start making your marks.
Yes, okay.
A score of 1 to 10, I think with 1 being something is very unlikely to happen, almost impossible to happen.
Okay.
And 10 being an almost certainty that this will happen.
Okay.
And I think then if we do that, then at the end of the year, and when we do this podcast again, after all the predictions have come in, maybe we can see which one of us got the most right.
All right. I'm up for it. I'm up for the challenge.
Up for the challenge. So repeat the question for me.
So we get kind of 2 ones here from Trevor. Mm-hmm. Marijuana legalization will not go through as planned, will not pass. I assume by that he means marijuana will not be legal in 2018 in Canada, and beer prices will go up again.
All right. So those are sort of 2 separate predictions. So
yeah.
I'll go ahead with this one. I'm going to give marijuana legislation will not pass. I'm going to give that a 2. I think it will go ahead. I think it would be pretty unlikely for that to be backed down on at this stage. And I think for beer prices going up ahead this year, there's only 3 things in life that are absolute certainties: death, taxes, and beer prices going up. So I'm going to give that one an 8.
An 8.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm going to be even more bullish on the marijuana legalization, knowing how much money's already in there, seeing how well the stocks are doing recently. I'm going to give that a 1.
Okay.
I feel it's very unlikely to happen. I kind of agree with you about the beer prices. Beer prices do always seem to go up. I'm going to go with you, say an 8 for that one.
Okay.
8 as well.
All right. Yeah, we're going to have to be careful not to just prices right each other every time.
That's right. Well, we'll have to alternate who goes first. I'll take this one maybe then.
Sounds good.
And I suspect this one may be tied to Trevor's one. This is from Angle32 on Instagram, who says, the number of people incarcerated in Canada will go down noticeably. Now, I feel this may be related to the marijuana legalization question. Incarceration rates, I'm not sure generally of the trend involved with that, but I'm going to be somewhat agree with this. I'm going to give this a 7, a likelihood of happening. A little bit confident that, yeah, we will see the number of incarcerated people in Canada go down.
That's a tough one. I mean, it seems logical that there may be people pardoned or released that might be there off of drug offenses, and also maybe less people going into prison for drug offenses. But then you have to weigh into it how slowly the wheels of justice might grind on this one. So that's a tough one. I'm still going to go with an 8. I think that one's very likely to be true.
8. All right, we got you down there. The next prediction comes from Murray Morant on Facebook, who says Canada's real estate bubble will burst in 2018. 2018. I'll let you go first on this one. Thoughts about real estate in Canada?
Well, that's a tough prediction. I mean, obviously there's especially some markets are going to be, it's tough to say overall for Canada. The real estate market in the Maritimes is going to be a very different thing from downtown Vancouver or Toronto. So I'm going to be a bit of a fence sitter on this one because I'm not sure. I'm going to say it's possible, but maybe slightly unlikely. So I'm going to go with a 5.
A 5, right down the middle. Very neutral of you. I think you make a great point. Vancouver and Toronto are obviously, I think, the real estate markets most people are concerned about, but obviously it's a big portion of Canada's real estate as well, at least as far as value is concerned. So I'm going to maybe be in a little more agreement with Murray that this prediction is maybe a little more likely than you. I'm going to bump that up to a 7, I'll say. So a little more concerned about the real estate market than you might be. And just a reminder, we will be going back through all these predictions next year to see which one of our predictors, had the best result. We are looking for that, and maybe the worst result as well. The next predictions take us to a national conversation topic in Canada. That's hockey. The first prediction from Austin Guerin on Facebook: Canada and the U.S. will play for the gold medal in hockey at the upcoming Winter Olympics. I think that's a pretty good guess. There's a few other teams who would put up there with kind of Canada and the U.S., but that's certainly the matchup I want to see. I think the matchup most people want to see. I'm going to give that a solid 9 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. Well, see, I'm a diehard Vancouver Canucks fan, and when I look at Team Canada, I see that it's mostly made up of players who failed to stick with the Vancouver Canucks for the Olympic team. Because the NHL players not being involved, it might throw things a bit. So I think that it's possible that another country like Russia, where I believe the KHL players are allowed to participate, that could very much skew the talent pool. So I think Canada will be competitive in the U.S., but I'm going to actually think that another country is going to get in there. Obviously, I'll cheer for Canada, but as far as my prediction goes, I'm going to go full trader mode, and I'm going to say 2.
2! And do you have a dark horse team? Do you have any?
Russia.
I'm
going to go for that. Russia will win.
Okay.
Or maybe Sweden. Well, I'll go with Russia.
We'll see if Austin is right about that. Moon Patrick on Facebook says, I see the Stanley Cup in hockey coming back home to Canada. And I'll point out at the moment there are only 3 Canadian teams in the playoffs as we move forward: Winnipeg, Toronto, and Calgary. So Glenn, what did you think? Is the Stanley Cup coming home?
Oh no, I have to back up on the previous question. I just realized Russia's not allowed. Isn't Russia banned from the Olympics? Mine was a terrible prediction. All right, so scratch Russia, and I'm going to say that instead of Russia, it's going to be Sweden. Team Sweden's going to win.
I think Russia may be competing under a unified flag.
Yeah, they're allowed to compete under a neutral flag or something. Yeah. So I could go with the neutral, non-flag team will win. But now I'm going to switch allegiance to Sweden. So this question was about the Stanley Cup coming back to Canada. Whether Winnipeg, Toronto, Calgary were suggested, there's possibilities. Let's see. It's certainly not, unfortunately, going to be either of my 2 teams of Ottawa or Vancouver. I think their chances are pretty much non-existent.
Yep.
I think Winnipeg is a pretty good team. They've got a pretty strong chance, but still, there's a lot of good teams out there. I'm going to put this as slightly unlikely. I'm going to go with a 4.
4. Okay. I think I'm in a similar boat. I don't have much faith in Toronto and Calgary if they make the playoffs, advancing too far. So it's all down to Winnipeg for me. But there's just so many other teams, so many other strong teams. I'm going to go even lower. I'm going to go a 1. I do not think the Stanley Cup, unfortunately, because I would like to see it, is coming back to Canada this year. Moon, we will see if you are right on that one. Maybe we'll switch to one of the community questions now to see how our community guessing went. We'll start with the question that was the least controversial, if you will, also in a similar theme. And the question we asked is, will Canada win more than 10 gold medals at the 2018 Winter Olympics? And our online result had 85% of our respondents saying yes, Canada would win 10 gold medals or more, with only 15% saying we would not. Give a little background on this. Some context.
I don't know how many they've won in the past.
So if we go back to the past few Olympics, in 2002 in Salt Lake City, we won 7 gold medals. 2006 in Turin, we won 7 as well. Vancouver, kind of with the home field advantage. We won 14. And then the last Olympics, 2014, in Sochi, we won 10.
Okay.
So I feel maybe the audience is being a little bit bullish. 85% feels pretty strong to me. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, obviously with the 2010 Vancouver Olympics, you've got a lot of investment, home team advantage. You know, I think the thing that might get us is I got to bring it back to the Canadian team in hockey. Yep. I don't have, my hopes are not that high. I think we may just fall just short of that. Between yes and no, I'm going to vote. I'd vote for no.
No? Mm-hmm. Oh, that puts me in a tough spot.
I hope they do, but don't get me wrong, everyone.
10 doesn't sound like a lot of gold medals, but it you know, it's going to be a feat. You know, I picked 10 as the number of the question to make it hard because I thought if it was 8 or 9, I would say yes myself. 10, I'm a little on the fence, but to make things interesting, shall we say, I will have more faith in the Canadian hockey team than you will, right. And I will take yes, we will win at least 10 gold medals.
Hopefully Mason Raymond catches fire and gets a lot of hot
we will take that.
He shoots and scores.
Another question we asked the community had to do with temperatures in Canada. In particular, what will be the hottest recorded temperature in 2018? Now, the audience overwhelmingly thought it would get hotter this year. There'd be a hotter, highest recorded temperature, with 72% of our respondents saying that, only 28% thinking it's getting cooler. Now, some additional background information. The warmest temperature reached in 2017 was 41 degrees. I assume this is before Humidex, at Headley, British Columbia. In 2016, it was 39 degrees in Oliver, British Columbia, and in 2015, 42 degrees, again in Headley, British Columbia. So it's been around that kind of area the past few years. What do you think? Is it going to be warmer or cooler this year than 42 degrees in Canada's hottest place?
Canada's hottest place. Will it be warmer than 42 degrees? I'm going to go with a yes on that. It's a big country. You'll end up with some heat waves and some surprising places. 42 is pretty hot, but I'm going to go with yes. Bit of a guess on that one.
Okay, I'm gonna play contrarian again. I'm going to say no because I'm going to predict. I'll make a secondary prediction. I'm going to predict it's going to be 40 even.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go with 43.
I was getting you to go 43.
Let's see if somebody nails it right on.
Hot.
All right, let's jump back to some of the individual predictions we had coming in. These next ones come from the U.S. political arena. As you might imagine, we got quite a few responses on. Two of them, Melanie Mathieu and BexFan, that's on Facebook, and BexFan48 on Instagram. Melanie made the prediction that an attempt will be made to impeach Trump, which will fail. And BexFan says Donald Trump will be impeached.
Okay, I got to pick one of those two.
So you got to, who are you going with, Melanie, or are you going with BexFan? Or, of course, none of the above, assuming that no attempt is made and he is not impeached.
I'm going to go with no attempt will be made and he won't be impeached. Things are so deadlocked at the moment. I think in the long run things will change in the near future, but maybe not as quickly as this year.
Okay. With U.S. politics right now, it really seems like anything could happen.
Yeah.
Literally anything could happen.
Literally anything.
You told us the current day scenario 4 or 5 years ago, we would not believe you. There does seem to be a lot of smoke around the Russia investigation thing. There's some questionable behavior at times. So I'm going to go with BexFan and say that Donald Trump will be impeached before the end of 2018. I don't feel overly confident about that right out of the gate. The next prediction from Chrissy Nolan was the Democrats will take over the Senate in the November elections. This is they're calling it maybe a potentially blue wave coming to try to hold Donald Trump in check. A response to that, I do think that has some likelihood to happen. So I would give that pretty high on the scale. I would probably give that an 8 or so. I do think there's going to be some voter retribution that might take place in November.
I'm going to go up to 10.
You're going to go full 10?
I'll say it's going to happen. I think I'll a 10, and I'll add a supplemental prediction to my last one about the impeachment, which is that Donald Trump will not be impeached, and bonus points for me if he's not impeached because he's abducted by aliens. He is unable to be impeached because he will be on the mothership.
So they've come to take him home. Is that the idea? Okay. Yeah. All right. In the area of technology, we had a few predictions that came in. The first is from our good friends at Go Tours Canada, who we partner with to do our Ghosts and Spirits of the Distillery tour in Toronto with. And they had a bit of a cheeky prediction on Facebook saying, we predict everyone will be using Segways instead of cars in 2018. How do you want to handle that one?
I'm going to go out on the limb and say this is definitely going to happen. It's a bold prediction. I'll say not only will people using Segways, but we're going to go full Wall-E. We're all going to be going around in our little personal driving pods.
Okay.
Okay, that doesn't seem very likely. But I'm still going to stick with my bold prediction, and I'm going to give it a 7. Just on the outside chance something crazy happens.
Well, I'm going to hedge my bets and take some sheer points and say 4 points for that. Because I don't think that happens. Segways are pretty fun, though. We got the folks there have let us take them out for spins a few times. If you've never tried one,
it's actually really fun. Yeah, it's really fun, and you don't have to be a mall cop to try one. That's true. They are actually fun for anyone. I've taken a lot of people on them, and they've been a little bit skeptical or unsure, thinking like, oh, I'm going to break my neck or something like that. But no, I've gone on a couple spins with those Segways in there. Fun bunch of folks at Go Tours, and the Segways themselves are fun too.
The next prediction comes in from Christy Kendall on Facebook, who predicts a horrific traffic incident involving driverless vehicles will set back the driverless car movement. And this one hurt me to read because I'm a big supporter of this movement. I think it's the way to go. It's going to increase a lot of efficiency and safety and things of that nature. So if something was to happen, that would really be too bad. So I got to be kind of bearish on this one just because I really want this to work as soon as possible. So I'm going to say kind of, and the technology's come quite a long way, and the testing they're doing, various companies. So I'm going to say a 3 for that, as I'm definitely hoping that does not happen.
Yeah, I think it's very unlikely. I'm going to match your 3, I'm afraid.
Okay. That's fine. You can copy.
Neutralize your if they had made the prediction that actual drivers with vehicles would create a horrific accident in 2018, I think we could pretty much call that one a 10.
Couple 10s, yeah.
10 times, 1,000 or so. I mean, I definitely look forward to the day of being driven around by my robot overlords.
Well, if you're taking a long trip, if you're coming from Ottawa to Toronto, it'd be nice just to kick back, read a book, those types of things.
A door is ajar.
Last prediction in this technology area comes from Vera L. Jones on Facebook, who predicted there will be a massive power outage, which will create an unprecedented baby boom 9 months later. And this, for me, brought back memories of 2003. 2003, when the power went out, there was this story that went around in the following May, I think it was. It was August to May of 2004, that there was this huge baby boom. I have no idea if that was urban legend or fact. That'd be an interesting topic to cover. But you're up first on this one. Will there be a massive power outage which will create an unprecedented baby boom 9 months later? We're not given a geographical location for that, but let's say, some notable outage in the world.
Well, the 9 months thing makes it a bit tricky because the 9 months might fall out of 2018, but
that's true.
So
it's gonna have to happen soon.
In order to have to happen soon. So if I'm just going with the massive power outage, and that's all we can measure for now, I think it's a given. If there was a giant power outage, to me, I think it's a no-brainer there would be a baby boom 9 months later. Now, something that our listeners might not know is that the last time we had a massive power outage downtown Ottawa, Jim was one of the tour guides who actually got to do a tour in total darkness.
It was terrifying.
It was one of the most terrifying tours of his life.
How'd you talk me into that?
So I'm going to go with a yes. I'm going to go with an 8. That it's going to happen, and then I'm going to also ask Jim to do it too.
That is so mean.
Just so that I can ask Jim to do that tour. Now, I'll go with 8.
I don't think I'm going to come in that high because that event was so memorable for me. I know nothing like that has happened since.
It's due.
So the one thought is we are due. The other thought is it's much more unlikely. So to prevent me from walking around in the dark again, I'm going to say 4. I'm going to bring that down a little bit,
probably
a little bit lower.
Jim and I are drinking some of our expired vitamin water here while we're doing this podcast. Some of the leftovers from the season. So some of my predictions might get a little loopy after.
Maybe influencing our choices a little bit. Yeah. All right, let's go back to a community question we posed. And this one I was particularly interested in as a big movie buff. Which movie, we asked, will have a higher rating on IMDb by the end of 2018. Avengers Age of Infinity, which scored on our poll 60% of the vote, beating out Solo, a Star Wars story, which only scored a 40% of the vote. So our audience believes that Avengers Age of Infinity will have a higher rating on IMDb at the end of the year. I think I'm up first for this one. I'm going to go with Solo. And I've enjoyed the Avengers films, but I really liked Rogue One, which scored a 7.8, or currently is on IMDb. Star Wars The Last Jedi, maybe not quite as well, 7.5. By way of comparison, just to offer the original Avengers in 2012, 8.1, and Avengers Age of Ultron, 7.4. But I just feel like Han Solo, as iconic as the Marvel Avengers are, Solo's such a everyone loves the rogue, the rascal he is, and I think it's going to be fun to see what they can do. They have more story options like they did in Rogue One, where they're not tied, to the narrative so much. So I'm thinking Solo, the Star Wars story, will be rated higher.
You're going Solo.
I'm going Solo.
See, I look at it a different way, which is to say there's probably tremendous anticipation for both of those films.
Sure.
And that might actually hurt their scores, because as fans are expecting something possibly unreasonable or have standards that might not be possibly be met. So I think they might both score poorly. I think, the Han Solo one is a risky because such a beloved character. So it doesn't seem like it would take much. And
to mess it up, you mean?
Yeah,
okay.
To take much to set off some of the fans, I guess. Might start giving it 1-star reviews or that kind of thing, or 1 out of 10. But the Avengers, they're trying to do an awful lot. They're bringing together like so many different groups into the same movie. It seems like it's pretty hard to make a movie on that premise. So I think it could also risk, going the ways of some of the worst of like the X-Men movies, like X-Men 3 or something, where
X-Men
they just
Apocalypse.
try to pack in a lot of different. So here's my prediction.
All right.
I'm going to vote for Avengers, and that's purely the Groot vote. I say Groot is going to give them an extra 0.5 because it's getting Guardians of the Galaxy coming into it. Everybody loves Groot. So the Groot vote will put it over the top, but I'm going to say that both of them will get under 7.
Wow, I will take that bet.
Yeah.
If you want under 7,
Under
I will
7.
take over.
Yeah.
Interesting. That'll be fun.
See, I hope I'm looking forward to both movies, and I'm a sucker. I'll probably go to both of them anyway.
Yes.
But I could see it being possible that both of them could be somewhat shark jumping moments.
Yeah, well, that's true. Absolutely. Yeah. The next community question we had to do with Bitcoin. I think people have probably heard a lot about Bitcoin, but a very brief explanation. It's the first of a growing category of money known as cryptocurrency, which is completely digital and is created and held electronically. So that means the banks aren't involved, or credit cards, to get their cut of the money. Bitcoins aren't printed like dollars or euros. They're produced by people and increasingly businesses running computers all around the world. And many businesses, of course, you hear about this, are now accepting Bitcoin as payment. So the question we posed to our audience was, will Bitcoin be worth more than $13,000 US by the end of 2018? And just to give you a sense, the current value right now is about $10,000, $10,600 today. Its lowest value in 2017 was just under $1,000, to show you how much it's gone up. But its highest point, which was on December 16th, was close to $20,000 per coin. So most of the audience, 64%, thought no, Bitcoin will not be worth more than $13,000 by the end of the year, with only 36% thinking that it would be. Now, I'm not an expert in Bitcoin by any sense of the imagination. I don't know how much you know about it, but if you want to take the first,
I'll take the first crack at it. I don't know much about it at all, so this is largely a guess. I would say, putting my seer hat on, that I think Bitcoin's going to be worth less, but I think maybe other cryptocurrencies will be worth more. Maybe not more than Bitcoin, but I think that in general the field of cryptocurrencies will go up, but that Bitcoin itself won't. I think it's been, maybe it's been oversaturated as far as the kind of the hype around it.
Yep.
Might have inflated its value, but it'll be interesting. It seems like it's probably something that's here to stay as a general trend, but Bitcoin itself might not continue to grow on its own beyond where it is right now, because it's certainly been a lot of attention to it.
I think that's a very good prediction. I think we'll see, and we are starting to see more cryptocurrencies. Just looking at the chart for it, I feel like the fact that it ballooned so high, and then there was a lot of press about how it was, crashing down late in December there. But it has kind of found a stability point at $10,000. So to go up $3,000 would be an accomplishment, but I really don't think it's out of the cards. So I'm going to predict it's going to be worth more than $13,000 by the end of 2018, mostly on a hunch. But we will see if that.
Jim and I are confident enough in these suggestions that since he went with more, he's going to put all of his savings into Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, I know. Pardon me a moment. Going back to some of our individual predictions that came in, we had a few about the royal family, which is often a topic people like discussing. The first one from Tab and Martel on Facebook predicts that Charles will become king. So I assume you're a little bit more familiar with the royal family than I am, but I guess that would mean the queen would have to give up the throne. I don't think there's a retirement.
Yeah, she would have to either leave this earth or not being abducted like Donald Trump.
What are your odds on that? What are your odds
I think I'm going to say that one's unlikely.
Okay.
I say not abducted by aliens this year. I'm going to give that. I'm going to say a strong positive for that. That's not going to happen.
Okay.
Probably the queen would have to either not live out the year, which is a little morbid, or would have to retire and pass on the throne to Charles.
I guess part of the issue too is after Charles, it's Prince William.
William, correct. Yeah.
And some people think maybe Charles might not take the crown or whatever because of his age or whatever.
Yeah. So I guess that's another variable. Because Charles could always just they could make an agreement that he'll pass it on to William. I think that's unlikely.
Okay.
But I think the whole thing is unlikely. I think the queen is a tough lady. I think her mother lived a long time too.
True.
I think she's pretty elderly at this point. But I'm getting a vote for the queen, making it through the year, and I think the next king will probably be William, not Charles. I think the queen will live long enough that Charles won't be the one that it gets passed to. Yeah.
If anybody's been watching, I know you have Glenn, the Queen on Netflix.
Yeah, the
Crown.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how long she's been on the throne and the various historical figures she's interacted with. It's absolutely staggering. Yeah. But you also, as you said, get a sense of just how tough and ruthless she can be. So I'm going to go with you as well. I'm going to say, I'm going to go further, and I'm going to say the Queen will continue to be sitting on the throne there at the end of 2018. No change as far as I'm concerned.
On that one. Yeah.
Similar vein, we had Meliss1984 on Instagram. She made the prediction for the siblings there that Prince William and Kate have a girl and name her Alice or Victoria, and that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will announce a baby is on the way. So kind of two in one there as far as the name William and Kate's baby, Alice or Victoria. Well, I mean, Victoria seems like it could certainly be a possibility. Alice was my grandmother's name, so I'm partial to that. So I'm going to be slightly positive on the first part of it.
Yeah, you go for a yes on that one?
I'm going to go for like a yes, like a 6, somewhere in there.
A 6, okay. For the first one, it's possible.
It could be a boy, obviously.
Yeah, but I think the odds are against it. I mean, they could either have a boy, they could, name them something different.
Yep.
So, I'm going to go for a 2.
2?
Possible, but unlikely.
And
I'll go first on the second one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for the second one, as far as them having a baby or not, the likelihood of them announcing a baby, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, I'm gonna go with a 2 on that as well too. I'm gonna say that they're gonna buck the trend of the royal baby making. I think that I think they're a couple that might be less concerned with the pressures of being part of royalty, and might not be in feel the same kind of pressure.
True.
A lot of people have children a little bit later in life these days. I say they're gonna be in that category, and if they have children at all, it'll be later.
And those children would be further down the line, I guess, in succession.
Right. Yeah, there's not a monarchy imperative or whatever. There's lots of people ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure when the wedding is, in the spring, summer, for those two. So, I mean, depending how old-fashioned we are, there may be a timing issue as well as to when an announcement can be made. So I'm going to roll the dice here, and I'm going to predict 0 possibility of this happening, but with an announcement in early 2019.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be too far away.
Yeah.
We'll see how that plays out. The last topic is near and dear to your heart, Glenn. That has to do with aliens and our extraterrestrial friends.
Okay, yeah.
Two similar predictions. Brandy13 on Instagram predicted we will get confirmation we are not alone, and then a little alien symbol. And a speaker 966 also predicted alien disclosure will happen in 2018. So I guess that's
that
the
mean?
question. Well, aliens will...
like it'll be disclosed that contact has been made with
Yes.
aliens. I don't think aliens are visiting currently. I'm going to go with... now, I'm going to parse the question a little bit.
Yeah,
Confirmation we're not alone. Aliens. And you can't say that without the air quotes. But I'm going to go with that we are going to discover life on another planet.
Okay,
But that it might not be advanced life form.
Okay.
Well, I mean, this is a long shot, but what the heck? It's all about getting the gloating rights when some random thing comes true. So I'm gonna say yes. We're gonna discover life on another planet, but it won't necessarily be advanced.
Like microbial life
yeah,
or something.
microbial
Okay,
life
yeah.
or some other kind of. Maybe we get some tardigrades or something like that on another planet in 2018. A bold prediction, so I'll give that a 8.
8.
Yeah.
8 with your caveat.
Yes.
I'll try to stick to the intent of the question about aliens. You know, if you listen to the show, we've done at least one episode about aliens on the WOW signal. So I do find it very fascinating. And just recently, there was that revelation that the Pentagon had been running this UFO monitoring program, and some footage got released about that, which was very intriguing. I definitely do think there are aliens, and we certainly could be being visited. The question is, will it come to the public's attention? Will it come to light in 2018? As much as I wanted to, I'm going to say the conspiracy will continue. Facts will be suppressed. We'll have to still work with Mulder and Scully on the X-Files. So I'm going to say a 6. I don't think it's likely. I do think your prediction is much more likely of some type of proof of life elsewhere, but perhaps not intelligent life.
Well, I think the thing we got to ask here is, whatever you think about Donald Trump, I think we can all agree that if he is given the information about aliens, he will not be able to prevent himself from tweeting about it. So if that crosses his desk, we're going to hear about it.
Well, we're still waiting for
An angry rant.
those final JFK files. Hopefully he's going to improve from our last podcast. That's it for the individual predictions. A few more community predictions to cover. One that's kind of more tongue-in-cheek. We asked, ties into our last topic, which apocalyptic scenario is more likely to happen in 2018? Alien invasion or zombies? The community decided alien invasion at 65% is the most likely. Zombies at 35%. You know, I'm not sure we're ever going to be able to score this question, because if either of these things do happen, there's a good possibility we're not going to record a show next January.
Good point. Yeah.
So we may have to eliminate this one from contention. But nevertheless, I do think aliens are certainly more likely than zombies. If we branch zombies out to be like a viral, some type of terrible viral outbreak, maybe we could put it in there. But as far as I know, zombies have been limited to fiction at this point. So I am definitely going to go with alien invasion.
Well, I'll buck the trend and go with zombies. The zombie apocalypse will finally happen. And as one of the sole survivors in Ottawa, I'll be able to... I may feel very sad about missing all of you. But I'll be able to quietly gloat to myself that I was right on the podcast.
You heard it here first, folks. A lot of these tie together, don't they? Trump, aliens, zombies. And then the final question we asked to predict our audience's predictive power was, of the 6 questions we did ask, which we've just mentioned. I'll quickly refresh. Those were a question about how many gold medals we would win at the Olympics, the highest temperature in Canada this year, Avengers or Solo, which would score better on IMDb, and our apocalyptic scenario. So including this question, I'm asking that's 6. So of the 6 questions we asked, will our community get at least 50% correct? So if we assume the alien invasion and the zombies don't happen, that's 5 questions. So our audience would need to get at least 3 correct to go 50% or better. Our audience themselves predicted, yes, they would accomplish that feat, not surprisingly. 67%, while 33% thought perhaps we had made some wrong guesses along the way. Glenn, what do you think? Is our audience going to hit at least 3 of those questions?
Well, I'm not sure. I would put the odds at exactly 50-50. It's probably about as good as a guess. But I think, logically we could look at it and say, well, we might be able to use the information to make one of those predictions. That might skew us towards slightly more than 50%. But I'm going to say that false confidence, because I'm looking at the way that I've scored this. I'll say false confidence brought on by vitamin water, expired vitamin water, is going to lead us to making some false assumptions.
Okay.
And so I'm going to go with no, that we're not going to hit the 50%. Our listeners are wonderful people. I have faith in them in every way, except for in predicting the future. Okay. Including myself.
Well, instead of just paying lip service to our audience, I will actually support them and say, yes. They will get at least 3 questions correct. And therefore, this time next year, we will be announcing that our audience has psychic predictive powers and we're able to foresee the future. Any final predictions you would like to make or thoughts on the year to come?
No, I don't think so. I'm gonna look forward to bringing this back, seeing what we got right. Who knows the future?
Bragging rights are certainly on the line now. Thank you so much for joining us on today's show, and to everyone who contributed with their individual predictions or as part of our community prediction challenge. Can't wait till next year when we get to look back and see who was right and who was wrong. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to subscribe, and 5-star reviews wherever you're listening to us are always extremely helpful. Be sure to follow us social media-wise on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, all at Haunted Walk. Thank you, as always, to Michelle Dennis, our audio editor, and to Kevin McLeod at Incompetech.com for the additional music. If you think or know someone that would make an awesome Haunted Walk tour guide, we would love to hear from you. And remember, the website address for applying is hauntedwalk.com/jobs. Until we meet again, sweet dreams.